200 years before your boy Jesus was walking on water. Plautus said,
"A woman without paint is like food without salt."
this goes to show how women have been objectified for a very, very long time. Today, I'm going to be the biggest advocate for women's rights since Ellen DeGeneres. If you're a woman and you're thinking, we don't need a man to mansplain, shut the fuck up! You need a man to defend you. Okay, so speculation is that there, bro. Really? Right here, right now? Okay. Since God decided to create Adam first, women have just had a horrible history. If a woman was too knowledgeable, they would call her a witch. Women don't get their inheritance from their parents or from their spouses, don't get education as much as the men do, don't have their freedom or their independence. If a woman is divorced, she's a widow and she's basically like a used object. It's ew, nobody wants it. If a man is divorced, no one cares. If a woman gets raped, what was she wearing? What did she say? Who did she provoke? What did she do? And then in some cultures, if a woman gets raped, it's a disgrace for the family of the woman. It taints their reputation, not for the family of the man who committed this horrible crime. And so some cultures go as far as killing the woman if she got raped so that the reputation of the family doesn't get ruined. Could be even worse is if a woman gets raped, they marry her to the person who raped her so that she's not impure, so that she didn't have sex with someone that she's not married to. So as to save the reputation of the family, let's marry her to the guy who raped her. So women have just been oppressed for a very, very, very long time. And I'm not talking necessarily now, but I'm talking like throughout history and in different cultures. After the Industrial Revolution, after World War I, when men were not around to do jobs, women had to take on that role. And then society was like, wait a minute, women are equally as good as men. That's wonderful. More laws started to be passed in favor of the women, which were obviously so far behind what the man had already been granted by default. But in any case, this was sort of the beginning of the freedom of the modern woman. They were able to have jobs and vote and be out in the open more. That shift in the perspective of women was in large part caused by how the woman became exposed to the public eye. However, that freedom did not come free of cost, with a hidden consequence that women are still suffering from now. And so basically, the modern victimization of women began. A lot of the initial ads on TV or in the newspaper or in the magazines were catered towards the women. So here's a product you use to clean the house, to cook for your husband better, to look better for your husband, to look better in public. And here's something you wear to look better. They're expected to look a certain way now. We're expected to please not just our husbands now, but you need to look good for everyone else. Not just your partner, everyone else now, you need to look presentable for. You need to be an eye candy for everyone else. Don't be an eyesore for everyone. As for the man, they could go out and look as disgusting as they want, and no one's gonna really give a shit. However, for a woman, the judgments are much harsher, much stricter. And everywhere, not even just outside of your home, but even in your home, there's a certain expectation. The lady needs to look pretty. She needs to smell this way. Blah, 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 blah. She needs her pajamas need to be sexy. Like all of these unreasonable fucking expectations, even in the home, it could be stressful. When we talk about beauty, often we think about makeup. That's like the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about superficial beauty. Makeup has been sort of exclusive for women as an accessory for beauty. And Hollywood helped with that image because they would show women that look a certain way, and because they made it look cool, like these people on TV are cool, and so every other woman wants to look the same way, and here's let's give you a product that helps you look that way, and then it's just a cycle. And as the industry evolves, it drags everyone else with it. So as these beauty standards evolve, like in the 1920s and the 1960s, these advertisements and these products change, and the way people want to look then becomes different than the way the previous generation wanted to look, even multiple times during one's own lifetime. And so we're constantly being dragged by this model beauty that is presented to the world. No one knows who's approving these looks, but it's on the screen, so I guess we have to look that way. And anything outside of that, anyone who looks different than that is going to be called ugly or is going to stand out in a negative light. The man, the way he looks naturally is mostly acceptable. Like any kind of hair you have as a man, fine, whatever. It doesn't really matter that much. Whatever you wear as a man doesn't really matter. You have pimples, acne, skin texture, all of that is fine for you as a man. It doesn't matter. However, when it comes to women, all of the natural things have pretty much been outlawed, labeled as ugly. So if you have skin texture, ew, put foundation. A little darkness under your eye, ew, put foundation. Blue or green undertones, ew, put on blush. You have some discoloration, ew, put on foundation. For the women, all the natural things have been labeled as ugly. And so you need to constantly be using these products to look up to par with whatever the fucking standard is. So if you have any kind of hair on your body, disgusting. Shave it. Use this wax. Use this cream that makes your skin fall off along with the hair. Fucking periods. In different cultures and religion, like portrayed as impure or nasty or dirty, versus like a man bleeding in battles, like, oh, yeah, I'm a man. But a woman bleeds on a monthly basis is disgusting. Shh, don't talk about it. Don't say period out loud. Even muscles. 20 years ago, for example, or 50 years ago, if a woman had muscles, she's too masculine. She's manly. It's ugly. It's disgusting. But now are starting to become kind of sexy. They want a muscle mommy. In the future, you never know. If a man sits down and he has some rolls in his stomach, like it doesn't matter. No one judges the man. But if a woman sits and she has rolls, ew, go on a calorie deficit or some shit like that. Even these very, very natural things in our human bodies have become demonized for women only. With that being said, over time, the beauty standard of a woman has changed. The idea of a good-looking man has always been like you're tall, you have broad shoulders, and then maybe you're muscular. That has always been it. But for women, it constantly changes. If you look throughout history and throughout different cultures especially, you'll find that the idea of a beautiful woman is so different across the world and across the history. It's so confusing. Like you could look beautiful here, but go somewhere else, you look ugly. And you could look beautiful at this time, but if you live for 200 years, you're going to look ugly in 200 years. Not because you aged and you now look like a raisin, but because the standards have changed. I don't know why society does this to women. It's just constantly, you're pretty now. Or throw this makeup on and put on these products and throw on this outfit. You're going to look like what everyone else thinks is good. So these things are so confusing and goes to further prove, don't even worry about what society wants because in 2 months' time, it might be completely different. So this is especially for women. For men, not even a problem. And this obviously is all enforced by media and by these ads and products and magazines and expectation and everything that's constantly being bombarded towards us as the ideal woman. I just want to talk about how that objectification of women keeps them trapped in that ugly beauty cycle. And just to drive a point home, over 35% of women suffer from some kind of sexual harassment throughout their life. And that's not sexual harassment like flirting. Pretty much 100% of women have to deal with flirting at some point, but they suffer from physical sexual harassment, and that could range from an unwanted physical touch all the way up to rape. And because society always expects the woman to look beautiful, then the woman needs to look the part, right? To qualify in society's eyes and to not be an eyesore to everyone. So temporary changes like makeup, doing your hair, wearing certain things, doing your nails, lashes, waxing, face filters or body filters, and these allow the woman to present herself to the world in a certain way that does not necessarily reflect the real look. And so that doesn't only hurt the woman that posted it or that shared it or that looks a certain way, but it also hurts all the other women because now they have to live up to the standard that other lady enforced. And so everyone is enforcing that standard, not even realizing that it's backfiring at everyone who's a victim of this standard. And so not only do the other women now feel like the need to do that and the need to live up to that unrealistic expectation, but when they look at themselves in the mirror, they're not going to see that unrealistic version of themselves that they presented to the world, whether through makeup or through filters. And so that's also going to affect the self-image of the person who did that. And it's going to affect their confidence and their idea of themselves and their perception of their own beauty and their own natural beauty. And then going into the latest form of media, which is social media, you always see these trends, these beauty slash insecurity slash ugly trends on social media. And these things are always geared towards women. And there's the ones that will come out on top because they aced the trend. And then the ones that will come out on bottom because they didn't ace the trend. These are beauty standards that are not even generational. They're literally coming out with new ones every other month. So you could be on top of the world today. Next month, watch out, because the next trend might make you feel horrendously ugly. So it's getting even worse with social media as these things evolve rapidly and people can't even keep up. Putting makeup is not necessarily more beautiful, or adding a filter is not necessarily more beautiful. It's just more resonant with the beauty standard that is currently put in place. That's all it is. It doesn't mean it's more beautiful. There's just what looks closer to what we decided is beautiful now. Or not even what we decided, what motherfuckers decided somewhere, which could also, by the way, change from time to time and from culture to culture. So there's no objective beauty. On the flip side, you have the permanent changes. So things like plastic surgery, laser hair removal, which is not really that big of a deal. Things like Botox, lip fillers, things that pull the eyebrows up. I don't know what's out there, and are often not only very expensive, but also in most cases, it's a slippery slope that once you're in, you just keep going down because you'll never be satisfied because you're going to want the next best thing. And so you feel like when someone gets Botox, next thing they get is lip filler, next thing they get is pulling their eyebrows up, a chin tuck, tummy tuck. It's never ending, which ends up leading to the same place, which is you're not going to feel satisfied when you see yourself because there's always going to be someone else or something else that society has deemed better looking than what you currently have, because they can't really make up their minds on what's beautiful. And so someone who puts themselves in that position where they're susceptible to the changes of society's disgusting eyes is most likely going to suffer from this back and forth, which is obviously at all times occupying their minds and chipping away at their self-confidence and all of that. But there's a lot of things that women wear. It pains me to see. So for example, like corsets, and I don't know if they still do it, but these corsets that get really tight to push the waist in and make it like really slim, and then they can barely breathe, like they wear it under their wedding dresses, or oh my God. I get claustrophobic when I see these scenes in movies or whatever. I can't breathe just looking at that. Or I guess the modern equivalent of it would be like bodysuits or skims, which are just like also really tight to bring everything together. There's no way that feels comfortable. Heels? Oh my God. These look painful. Have you ever seen an x-ray of someone's foot in a heel? It looks like a scene from The Exorcism of Emily Rose. The foot is not supposed to assume that shape ever. I mean, some people rock it and they're like sprinting in 6-inch heels, but most people, it just looks like they're walking on a pirate beam about to get tossed into the ocean. So these look very uncomfortable. Tight jeans or tight pants in general. Girls wearing like jackets in the top, but then at the bottom they're wearing like these really short shorts and their legs are entirely showing, and it's like -16 outside. I could not wrap my head around how they're okay with the temperature and exposing that much skin, especially when there's wind. You want to make sure you're covered. I don't know what forces them or what compels them to dress that way, but, and I could be wrong, it's that fucking beauty standard and the way we need to look, or we need to look appealing in a certain way, even if it comes at the cost of our own comfort, just to look a certain way. Most women report that their bras are extremely uncomfortable and it causes headaches and tension in the muscles and all of that. That seems very unreasonable for the purpose of a bra. Unless you're doing some kind of sport and you don't want it to be moving up and down, I can't think of another reason it's being used other than to make it look good the way society has made us think it's supposed to look, tuck it in together and make it look a certain way, or to hide the nipples, like to cover the nipples, which is another thing. A man can walk around with their nipples showing, no problem, but a woman's nipples are illegal, right? Like they've been sexualized, they've been objectified. Hashtag free the nipple. It's been a topic for decades. However, I just feel like women are putting on bras because of an unrealistic societal expectation, again, leading them to do uncomfortable things for society. And I just hear way too many stories about tampons getting stuck in there and then like the string being removed from it and then having to go to a doctor to extract that. Whew. I mean, if that ever happens to me in any of my holes, I would have to call the magic school bus. I need a full expedition to go on that mission. So that's crazy uncomfortable too, and like scary to even think about, but I also don't know what the alternative is in that. One other thing that bothers me about women's fashion is, why is it not functional? Like, why are there fake pockets? Like, to the designers out there, why are there fake pockets? Like, give me a functional pocket. Where am I going to put my phone? And when there is a pocket, it's like 2 inches deep. What am I going to put in there? I need to put my phone and then my wallet. And I feel like this is another ploy to get women to buy purses. Hey, sorry, you can't get pockets, you have to buy this purse, all right? And then in the purse, sorry, you won't get zippers, you have to buy this other little purse to put in your big purse. So I just feel like women have been lied to, man. I feel like women have been lied to. The average woman spends $200 every month on beauty products and like skincare. $200 every month versus $50 a month for men, which might not be for the fact that women just buy more things, but if you've ever heard of this pink tax, which is actually products that are marketed for women are 48% more expensive than the same products marketed for men. Ridiculous, which to me further proves the point that women have been manipulated. Not saying that women are dumb and they were manipulated, but the bodies at work have manipulated women over time in the last 200 years to believe that this is how it is and you must conform, otherwise yuck. And because of that, and because the more people partake in it, the more people feel the need to partake in it. So not only have women been told that they must buy all of these things, they're also being charged 50% more than men are for the same thing, which is ridiculous. And low-key illegal. Shouldn't that borderline be illegal activity? Like discrimination against a protected group? It's a little weird. It's a little weird. With all that being said, 20 to 30% more women suffer from eating disorders and body dysmorphia than men do as a result of them being objectified. From my experience and from people that I know, I don't think the way a man looks affects him as much as the way a woman looks. And I don't know if it's because the man was taught to be tough and rough and don't cry and don't care about these things, versus maybe the woman was taught that she needs to look a certain way, and then being a child hammered with this information, then maybe it's just nurture, or it's just more biological. They just care more deeply about it, and that's why it affects them. I really don't know which of the two it is. But I will say, even as a man, when I look at myself in the mirror, no matter what other people tell me, I just see a pretzel looking back at me, like a stick man looking back at me. And that makes me feel disgusted at myself. But I will say that it's not something that haunts me day and night. It's sort of a momentary realization when I see it, or when I see someone else and I draw comparisons. Even if that someone else is actually skinnier and lighter and smaller than me, I will still see myself in that manner. And in a way, everyone is a victim of these societal expectations. In all cases, I always hear, I don't put makeup for other people. I put makeup for myself because I want to do it, because I enjoy it. I feel like that's a little unrealistic. Like, sure, a part of it is for me, but I also know that I care about the way I look because I know other people are going to see me. And I care more about the way I look the higher the stakes are. If I'm going to a job interview, I'm going to want to look more presentable. If I'm going on a date, I'm going to want to look more presentable. It really depends on the external factors and the way people perceive me and the way the world perceives me. And I feel like there is more of that than I just want to do it for myself. Women specifically say, I do it for myself because I have fun. You had your fun, now take it off. Or like, why are there makeup artists? Like, why would you let someone do your makeup and have all the fun for themselves? So I feel like there's a reason that job exists, and it reflects a certain intention behind the act that we're doing. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, if we're being honest with ourselves, we can see more of the picture and then take action accordingly. And we have all just been so accustomed to the non-natural look of a woman that when a woman does not have makeup on, we think she's sick. She looks normal because we see the skin texture and we see the skin discoloration and we see the lips are not always like bright red, and there could be a little darkness under the eyes, and all of these things. It just makes the natural look sick, and that's how we know we are sick, because we've been so used to seeing that and we think it's normal. It's not normal. The natural look is what's normal. The same way we look at a man and that's most likely what they look like naturally, we should be able to look at a woman and see what she looks like naturally without having these crazy, harsh, and unrealistic expectations. Not only that, but a lot of these chemicals that are being used to enforce these expectations have been proven to be unhealthy for the skin and for the person that's using it. It could be a carcinogen or something that causes inflammation or something that causes dryness in the skin or whatever, or irritation. This has been proven time and time again. And then you see products that are like vegan or cruelty free or gluten free or this chemical free or whatever, just to avoid that problem. Well, how about we avoid the entire problem and stop expecting these things from women? Why do you have to make me yell at you?
Why do I have to use my man voice to get this message across?
Of course, the world is trying to remedy this problem, and there's a lot more body positivity now, where you're accepting yourself, the way you look. Obviously, body positivity has also a dark side where it's kind of like do whatever you want, bordering on unhealthy. Like, obviously, the extreme of anything is bad, but the essence of body positivity is essentially fuck society and their imaginary standards that they set, and just realize that the way you look is enough. And there will always be 1 million people that appreciate it, and there will always be 100 million people that don't appreciate it. And that's fine, and that's normal, and focus on the 1 million people that appreciate it. This will not only save you money from buying all these products, but it'll also save you mental health, because you're not going to have to worry about that. Obviously, that's easier said than done, but that's essentially the core of it. At the end of the day, nothing beats just being healthy. Someone could look good, but not feel good. But if you feel good as a result of healthy habits and as a result of healthy activities and a healthy mindset, you will most likely look better than the average. But at the end of the day, the way you look should be more than enough. And fuck anyone that tells you otherwise. And that's pretty much everything that I have to say on this topic. So thank you for watching and listening to The Social Condom. And if there's anything I said that offended you, fuck! I'm simply speaking my opinion. At the end of the day, I'm advocating for a better society so that all of us can live freely and not expect stupid things of each other. So thank you and have a wonderful day.